At this point, it's obvious. Donald Trump is allergic to the truth. And now the UN has just dropped a sudden bomb on Donald Trump. Donald Trump is an absolute liar. He lies about his economic policies, he lies about his campaign promises, and now he's lying left and right about Iran. To be fair, he seems to have no idea what he's actually talking about.
So they had three main sites, and we knew they're going to have to either give them up. And I thought we could do it during negotiation, and we just about had it done. And then they said, we want enrichment. Enrichment doesn't mean like air conditioning, and it doesn't mean to jack up your car. Enrichment is a bad word. And I said, you got so much oil, what do you need that for? And they said, well, we need it. And I wouldn't let that happen. I think people wouldn't have understood it if I allowed that to happen. So we had a 60-day talk, and that delayed them a lot. And then we said, let's go at it. And it just worked out. And we wanted to work out also for Iran. They were beaten up, and so was Israel. In all fairness, they were both very tight. We call it the 12-day war. That was an intensive war.
Because you were pretty clear you can't have a weapon. You're going to have to come to the talk. Something's going to happen.
I don't think they did. No, I think, first of all, it's very hard to do. It's very dangerous to do. It's very heavy, very, very heavy. No, they didn't. But I do believe they had people there because you had cars. You know, they were saying cars. And those were masons. Those were people working with concrete. They were trying to seal up the entrance to where the bomb would most likely go in.
Because of this, the Trump administration is sending incredibly mixed messages.
First of all, our military did an extraordinary job to launch these strikes, not even have the Iranians fire back. And clearly, nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The problem here is that the president, before any data came back in, on the night of the strikes, says totally obliterated.
Right.
Well, you have no information.
Right.
So if that's the standard, I think it put our military, his cabinet, in a really untenable position. Because what you can have is you could have the program itself set back a ways.
Sure.
Which appears the destruction. And I wish it would be totally obliterated. I wish the president was right. But when you went after the facilities, but we didn't even go after the enriched uranium at Esfahani, and the fact that they have some additional capabilities elsewhere around, the idea that Iran could potentially rush to a single bomb or two that could be delivered, maybe not on a missile, but in the backseat or trunk of a car, we have to be aware of that. My concern when the president says totally obliterated is, does he lull the American people, and the world for that matter, into a sense of, well, that problem's taken care of.
But now Donald Trump's lies just got called out again because the UN just dropped a sudden bomb on Donald Trump, and this changes everything. Take a look. The United Nations has dropped a bombshell directly challenging President Trump's repeated claims that his recent bombing campaign against Iran obliterated the country's nuclear ambitions. In a stunning interview, Rafael Mariano Grossi, head of the UN's International Atomic Energy Agency, revealed Iran could resume enriching uranium in just a matter of months, contradicting Trump's boasts that Tehran has lost interest in its nuclear program. Grossi confirmed the U.S. airstrikes caused severe damage, but not total destruction of Iran's underground enrichment facilities. Grossi's assessment, backed by European intelligence and America's own Defense Intelligence Agency, suggests the strikes only set Iran back by a few months, not the years President Trump has claimed. This directly undermines Trump's repeated insistence on Fox News that Iran's nuclear program was obliterated like nobody's ever seen before. Adding fuel to the controversy, the UN chief inspector disclosed that Iran's stockpile of near-bomb-grade uranium was stored in containers small enough to move quickly. Evidence points to vehicles outside the enrichment sites in the days before the bombing, a strong indication Iran may have relocated parts of its stockpile before the attack, further limiting the impact of the US strike. Yet President Trump continues to deny intelligence reports suggesting Iran preserved significant nuclear materials. He has also threatened lawsuits against CNN, and the New York Times for reporting on US intelligence assessments, even suggesting he could force journalists to reveal their sources. Meanwhile, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan warned that without a new diplomatic agreement and aggressive inspections, Iran could rebuild its nuclear program faster than Trump admits, potentially within a year if Tehran decides to pursue a bomb. This UN revelation doesn't just expose the limits of Trump's military strike, it also leaves open the unsettling possibility that Iran's nuclear ambitions are far from over, raising the stakes for renewed diplomacy or further conflict. At the end of the day, Donald Trump talks about the art of the deal, when in reality, it's nothing more than the art of the steal. He's a con artist, a liar, and an embarrassment that we're forced to call president.